Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Monday guide. My name is Badger, and with me I have.
And I am Boppus. We failed.
I was supposed to introduce you.
No.
All right.
Okay.
No, you're supposed to say your name, but I was supposed to. Never mind. We're never going to get this right. All right. So the subject of today will be Navy mechanics, and more specifically, it's going to be the most important Navy mechanics to understand to play the game properly, because that's the only way to play the game. That is Navy. That's what HOI4 is all about. It's a Navy simulator.
Yeah.
So, the design of the episode would be that, or the guide is that we have picked 3 mechanics each that we will present in turns. And then we will probably surprise each other, might have picked the same ones. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then we will kind of like sum it up at the end. So that's kind of the design. So should we get started, or anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it. And probably Badger will be talking about 70 to 90% of the time, because Navy is his thing and he can't stop himself. But I'll say the next guide, but the VOD podcast stuff will be about industry and that kind of stuff. So
in 2 weeks' time, we're going to do that one. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So industry economy side without spreadsheets, probably.
Yeah. And I have to say, I am extremely excited about this episode. And that's primarily because I'm very eager to hear what you have to say when it comes to Navy. Like a proper landlubber talking Navy. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So who should start?
You should start.
I should start. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the first mechanic, I think that you really need to understand to play the Navy game properly in HOI4 is the screening mechanic. And when I talk about screening mechanic, I talk about. I just realized now that I don't have a game to point at, so maybe you could cut something in. But I'm talking about the different battle lines in the naval box.
Yeah.
So when you have a naval battle, you can see your ships. They come up in different rows or columns in the battle. Those are the ones that I'm talking about, how they work in terms of screening. Because I think that once you understand the screening, you understand kind of like the fundamentals of a naval battle and how the ships, act in the battle in front of each other, and what happens when you have full screening efficiency as compared to low screening efficiency. So, I think that one of the first things that most people get when it comes to screening is that, if you don't have screening, you'll get torpedoed. I think that's like
really badly.
Yeah. But that's not everything. Like the same goes with light attack and with heavy attack on capital ships, and even for like target prioritization and so on. Yeah, but that's overcourse. But I think that the screening mechanics in general is like the first one to understand.
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't even think about it, but that's a really good point. Because I went. Should I start or should I comment on yours?
No, you can comment. You can comment before we go ahead.
Yeah. Because I agree, screening is extremely important, and you need to save your bigger, more expensive ship, and you need to understand how attack works. And I think you have made at least one guide. Or did I do that guide?
I've made a guide about how a naval battle works. In that guide I did it, but I think you have talked about screening in some at some point.
There's too many guides. We're up to 150 now or something.
Yeah, and only the naval guides are quite that few. So
but it's really important. If you don't get the screening, you will have your fleet composition totally wrong, and you will get synced straight away, especially your expensive and most valuable ships.
Yeah, and I can say I kind of on my top priorities now, I kind of assume that you who watch this or listen to this kind of get like the first mission types and what that is and how you to orientate yourself in the game. But after that, I think that the screening is the first one to understand.
Yeah.
Right. So which is your first?
My first, and I understand that you went down more basic, but one of the most important thing I think I have learned with naval...
I started more basic at least.
Is armor and piercing and critical hits. That whole logic around why you need armor, how much armor you need, and how much piercing will increase the effectiveness of your navy is amazing. I think you made a guide about this and started out with saying you can gain 900% in extra damage with a critical hit.
Yes.
That's just...
Yeah. And I think that... it doesn't work the same as on land, or it does a bit more now with partial crits and so on. But I think that like just getting that piercing above the enemy's armor just increases your crit chance, and crits are really, really important when it comes to the naval game.
Because 900%, that's kind of hard to get. But just the first 50% extra chance of landing a critical hit that you get with piercing is...
So I'm going to throw in a bonus one to that, because usually when you think about the armor versus piercing, when you design your fleets, you look at the gun types and the armor types, and then you kind of like, okay, that's it, right? But what people don't usually know is that the defense stat on your admiral increases your armor.
Yeah.
But the attack stat on your admiral doesn't increase your piercing.
No.
So it's actually like quite good sometimes to pick the admiral with the highest defense stat if you're going for like a battleship build or something like that. Instead of prioritizing the attack stat, because that could be what pushes you above, like your armor above the enemy's piercing, and then you don't get any crits landed on you.
Yeah, and here we come into my first point of the video, that Badger will talk a lot in this video, and I will probably make a counter up here. Badger's bonus. I just have a bonus.
Okay. No, but this is my episode. This is the...
it is.
Full disclosure, I picked the topic for this one.
Yeah,
no surprise. All right, okay, so
armor piercing critical hit. That's the first one for me.
I mean, okay, so my second one then, and this is a complex one: how ships pick targets in a naval battle. That mechanic, I think everyone should understand.
That's a perfect mechanic for a podcast, I would say. This will not be abstract at all.
Try to. No, but I think I can explain it. I won't explain the whole thing, but I think what I can explain quite briefly what people usually get wrong.
Yeah.
And that is, it's not the ships that pick targets, but the gun types on your ships that pick target. And the gun type, so kind of like this. So let's say you have a destroyer, a light cruiser, a heavy cruiser, a battle cruiser, and a battleship. Those 5 ships together in a naval battle, and all of them have light guns on them, some kind of light guns. All of those light guns prioritize targets in the same way, but each ship's light guns pick their own targets.
Yeah.
Maybe I made it more confusing now.
I'm lost already.
Okay. Basically, maybe let's say it like this: if you have a battleship with like 3 light guns and 2 heavy guns.
Yes, 5 guns.
5 guns. The 3 light guns will pick the same target, and the 2 heavy guns will pick the same target.
Oh, thank you. Now, even I follow you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And if you have a heavy cruiser that can also have like torpedoes on them or something like that, that's a 3rd gun platform, and that will pick its own targets as well.
Okay.
So each gun type picks its targets, but all gun types of the same kind, they are like a collected stat towards the same target.
Yeah.
So if you have 3 modules for light guns, they will all pick the same target on that ship. But then another ship's guns will pick another target. So I think if you understand that mechanic, and then how the different gun types, so light, heavy, and so on, how they pick targets in turn, then you kind of understand all the fundamentals of how to design your fleet for what purpose. Because that kind of puts you in a position to know, okay, if I mount a lot of light guns on my capital ships, they will prioritize all the screens in the battle, because light guns can only shoot at the first range, like the first enemies in the battle. They can't shoot over anyone. So and so on. So like if you understand those mechanics that's beneath that and how that works, you're quite far into the naval game.
Yeah. I think we should put a link in the description to the. I think you have a really good guide explaining everything that.
I made a Patreon guide on that, but that Patreon guide is public, so everyone can watch it.
It's
if
a
you're a free
public Patreon guide.
Yeah, if you're a free member, you can watch this as a patron.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. We'll put something somewhere.
Yeah. I told you it was going to be more complex after my first one. So
Yeah. I'm gonna follow up with more abstract things, and this hard to say this is the most important thing to know, but kind of is, because carriers is a huge thing and air is a huge thing,
you
even
mean as
in naval
big
combat.
objects that
Yeah.
float around?
Yeah.
Sorry, that humor.
So what I'm going with here is naval anti-air and how that works.
Naval anti-air,
Yeah, because that's a huge thing, defending against carriers and enemy nav bombers. Because nav bombers is one of your worst opponent usually as a fleet.
As the British in World War II.
Yeah. You don't want nav bombers. You don't want to be in the Mediterranean usually, because there's too many navs flying around. So naval anti-air, really interesting mechanic there. I can go through it a little short bit, but the thing is that airplanes attack one ship. They choose one ship, one air wing, attack one ship, and only that ship can fire against that air wing. So even if you have 100 ships, and they attack one of them, only that ship can fire back. So that's that one ship's anti-air will fire back. And that makes this really complicated, because having good average anti-air on a fleet makes the damage go down. But you need to understand what kind of ships the navs prioritize. You need to make sure that those ships have the anti-air. And even with anti-air, there's a lot of caps on that. So you make damage, but the more you have, the more damage. You can't make more damage because it's capped. There's a lot of things going around that. But understanding that whole mechanic makes you design your fleet in the right way, and could also make you do, like I did, like an anti-air destroyer, anti-air cruiser, because the average anti-air is so big on an anti-air cruiser on the entire fleet, because that's the only thing in the fleet. So you can't take damage, but you can do a lot of damage. And that I think it's really interesting mechanic.
Yeah, so basically, to put that into some kind of a practical application while playing the game, is that like, how I think about AA. If I know I'm gonna face a carrier build, then I would put AA on everything basically. Like as much as I can to get the average up everywhere and like reduce the damage everywhere. But if I'm playing like against like Axis in Europe, and I will probably win at sea, but they will have navs everywhere. Then I would just like make a lot of light cruisers with a lot of anti-air on them. Because then they will, and I will sail around with them on patrol missions solo, because then they basically can't take damage because they have so much AA. And as soon as they get attacked, they will like shoot down like 20, 30 navs in one go.
And who taught you how to do this?
Ooh, it was some guy on Reddit, I think. Yeah, no, this is like the only thing in Navy that Poppus taught me. Because he did the math behind it. All right, so next one, it's mine, right? And that is a dear subject of mine, and often up for debate in multiplayer rule sets, and that is Convoy Escort. And the reason I picked Convoy Escort is because basically anyone playing the game, especially multiplayer, knows how to use submarines, because it's so simple. You take submarines, you put them on convoy rating somewhere, and then you don't look at them again, and then hopefully you do some damage. That's how people usually use them. And then there's this whole discussion always, like you have to put stacks of 10 in minimum and so on to get around overloading. And yes, and I can say submarines are quite overpowered in vanilla. They are.
Everything is overpowered in vanilla.
Yeah, exactly. Because but you can always counter them. But anyways, but people have a difficult time to understand is how to defend yourself against submarines. Because and it's twofold. Because defending is not the same as sinking them.
No.
So Convoy Escort is basically screening again. So back to my first mechanic. So Convoy Escort is a kind of screening where they teleport into the fight and just screens off the attacker.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. So if you understand how convoy escorts like how that works, then you can screen off submarines, and then you can put some other measures into play to get rid of them, like naval bombers or something like that. But that's a very important. Like if you want to have naval domination and like win at sea, you also have to get rid of the submarines and understand how to defend yourself against submarines. So you can never be a good like Japan player or US or UK player if you don't understand this, I think. No. Especially multiplayer.
And this is one of the only mechanics I was pretty sure you were going to bring up, because I think you made like 3 guides.
Like,
4 guides about convoy escort.
Because it's so it is complex. And there are different angles to it, and there are like always new things you can like, and I get new ideas as well. So it's like a living organism at this point.
But it's really, really important, and I've learned a lot from your videos, just understanding how your convoys go around on the screen, how you actually see the convoy routes, and how you need to build your navy and use your navy to actually defend your routes in an effective way. And as you have been into a lot of times, how to defend against submarine spam in an orderly way that works.
And basically the quick giveaway is that each task group in a convoy escort mission, so if you have like a lot of different task groups of destroyers, for example, each task group can defend 1 convoy route battle at a given time. So if there's 10 routes, you need 10 task groups to defend at the same time. It's that simple, really. But
and if you wonder what I was pointing at, it's the counter for bonus content.
But there are several guides on this. Just search escort or something, and you'll probably find it.
You will.
Don't search that in Google, because then you might find something else. But on our YouTube channel,
you can always pull out.
Don't search for escorts on Google. That's gonna be, and especially not on your work laptop. But
escorts.
No. No.
Okay. Stop it.
Stop it.
Is it my third one?
The last one and third one. No duplicates so far.
No, absolutely not. But perhaps a little bit, because my third one is actually not a straight up mechanic. Because I'm gonna honor you with one of the best guides I think you have made on our channel, and that is the Naval Micro Guide, which I find really, really good. How to micro navy or something.
I can't remember what I even talked about in that one.
It's kind of just back to the basics. It's 12-13 minutes about how you actually micro navy. You're going through a little bit of convoy escort, how things work, how supply work. So just going through the basics, just small things, where you base your navy. Hugely important mechanic. If you base your navy at the wrong place and you're starting to get raided, you don't have any fuel, and then the supply and fuel mechanics come into play.
Common mistake in the Pacific.
Common mistake, which I always do. So the thing is that just these 12 minutes is really, really worth it. So now some self-promotion here perhaps, but I think that's really, really good. I couldn't really choose one of the mechanics, but in there you have all the base mechanics I think you need to know to start microing and using your navy. Together with screening and armor piercing, which we have been talking about today, I think you come a really long way with that.
No, I think that there are of course some, like, regarding micro, there are like a few basic things you need to understand. Like if you have a fleet on strike force, it's very important where it's based, because it has to go from the port all the way out there to fight, and then the fight might be over once it so there are like some things about the micro, but it's pretty basic, I'd say, once you understand it, but you only need like a quick watch through of a guide like that to be able to pick up the basics. But I think, like, from the ones I picked, I think that the naval targeting, I think that's like a key to understand how the meta works. Because that's usually like, and everything when it comes to Navy, like if you're in like the surface fleets of Navy, is really like rock, paper, scissors, which is a lot of fun. and especially in the
Is
multiplayer
it?
mods. No. I like it because then you have to
Yeah.
read the opponent
Yeah.
to be able to counter them. And if you're unlucky and you just don't look at the opponent's build, they might pick the scissor to your paper, right?
Yeah.
If you're unlucky. And then of course you can build something that's all around, but then it's usually not good enough.
No.
So you have to like pick a build and like commit to that. But if you get that right, then you'll probably win. And that is usually like the matchup between the UK and Italy, or the US against Japan, right? Those are like the usual suspects in matchups.
And I would say going into multiplayer in Navy, it's so extremely clear to when you meet someone who is clearly better than you are, because it is that rock, paper, scissors. You think you have built a pretty decent Navy, but you built your rock Navy. And there they come, not with a scissor, but
I don't recommend a rock Navy. It usually sinks. Haha.
You can even build ice navies now.
Sorry. Yeah,
the ice carrier.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think that was my topics at least.
Yeah, it is, and I think this was a little bit shorter than we usually do this.
Yeah.
We have been talking, we don't really know how long this should be either, but I thought Badger would be talking for like at least 5 hours.
Yeah, I kept myself under control.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the next guide coming up will be us talking about the industry mechanics.
Industry mechanics, economy mechanics.
In this format with us, both of us, in 2 weeks' time, and then next week will be a regular Monday guide.
Yeah, it's me. I think it's
you.
Me. Yeah,
it's you. Yes.
Yeah, I have some. It could be an economy guide that also. I have some ideas. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And also we are going to record the land strategy guide for gaining 50 patrons.
Yes. That's our bad conscience, but we're closing up to vacation, and then we will have more time.
Yeah, the script is actually written, so we're taking some steps, but not really there yet.
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys so much, guys, for watching, and until next time.
See you. Bye.